those blinded by ambition, those consumed with vengeance. But here, they do not exist. Only winners and losers here. For here, the mighty rule. Garo, Mark of the Wolves.
I got distracted listening to the music. As it turns out, Mark of the Wolves. Really good soundtrack. Really good game in general. Hello. I'm going to be continuing to play through Oracle of Seasons. I don't remember where I got to. Or Subrosia, I guess. Let's see how it goes. Hope we can get at least another dungeon done tonight. That'd be good. Let's see those suns. This key open any door, even ones in the temple. I guess we need that key. Weird stuff from the temple. That's a cool looking shop. I guess we should actually read the sign. This is quite tells the shop here, right? Alright, Hot Springs are where we were before. So we're south. That heart piece is upside down. These hearts are upside down. How are you doing, Jonathan? I'm glad to be playing a game that's not as crashy as Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, I'm doing alright. Oh, it's a rare peach stone. That's why it's upside down. 20 ore chunks and 10 ember seeds. Yeah, it does seem to be a pretty consistent pace. Alright, I think that's our first heart container. Cute ribbon. Star-shaped ore, I don't have one of those. 10 ore chunks for 20 gale seeds. Nah, I'm good. It is weird, because like it's presumably the same engine, the same assets and all that stuff. Why would it crash more? All these sweet, sweet ore chunks we're getting. Red ore and blue ore. You mix two, you get unbelievably hard ore.
I'm the champion of this world, I'm the champion of TV, and I'm gonna win an Emmy!
Thank you for the subscription. Yes, enjoyed then. I only have 2 emotes just now. But I mean, I think they're good emotes. I do really like the Den one, I'm pretty happy with that. It took more effort than it should have to, you know, put it together. Alright, it's time to get digging. That's what he said, right? In the sands. I do really like the dynamo. We need to get the star ore and give it to that lady we saw earlier. Well, to be fair, I made it for Discord, and then, because I didn't actually expect to reach affiliate status at any point ever. Never mind soon. That was all thanks to Crash. And you as well, actually, with raids and stuff. Sorry, not to just give it all to Crash. But it was Crash that was tweeting out and getting people to follow. It was... Yeah, I made it for Discord. Just because, honestly, because I was making something else. Another server I'm on had an emote I really liked, and they got rid of it. And I was like, alright, it's time to learn how to make emotes better. That's it, Crash gets all the glory, he's not even here. Hasn't even streamed in God knows how long. But yeah, they got rid of an emote I liked, and I was like, okay, well I should probably just learn to make my own so that I can use it. Because I've got Nitro so I can use it wherever. Allegedly, I don't know. Here's the star, or let's go get that ribbon. I mean, I'm gonna keep digging this stuff up, I guess. I like the design of these guys. These little hooded guys. Like, what do they look like? Yeah, they do look like mushrooms. Guess I don't need my shovel anymore. Actually, let's do this so we can move faster. Oh, he's got a ring now as well. Cute ribbon. Take it. Seed ring, I'll take it. Do I have 30? 84, okay. Alright, let's go find out where the lady with the key is. Not this way. Came this way before. Not this way. Came here before. Maybe she's down at the beach. We then go this way. Yeah, I used to think that as a kid as well. And you know what? I still think that now. It does look a lot like a croissant. It's maybe a bit too... I don't know. It's a bit too kind of perfect. Croissants don't really look that way. In my head, that's definitely always what I've been like. It's just a croissant. Cute ribbon. Yep, take it. Give me your key. Oh, we have to take her on a date. Let's go look in that temple. Look at this. Nice romantic date. This is our date music. Taking some time. I want it to be like Undertale with a like Ace Attorney rip-off stuff starts playing. Nope, can't go that way. Wait, how do we even get to the temple? Oh wait, I know. She's got a key. Can I run? Come on, let's run. I'm glad I just had to run into the door long enough that she was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, just as long as it's not Pantsu Hunter. Yeah, definitely. That's... I would never sully my streams with such things. Unlike some other people. I've been really enjoying those Pantsu Hunter streams. That game seems terrible. It seems like a nightmare. Alright, we need to find a locked door. Everything about it just seems bad. Like, it seems poorly written. I mean, the art seems okay most of the time, but then, you know, you'll get occasional things like that one woman's arm being all weird looking. But yeah, like the writing's terrible. It's clearly not like well thought out structurally because they were just like, okay, anytime there needs to be a failure state, you just die for some reason. Rather than actually having some kind of, you know, solution to it. But then also, yeah, like the actual tone and theming of what it's trying to do is also miserable. And like, I kind of thought it was not like good, but like it was interesting at least for the first couple of levels where, you know, it's this kind of point and click kind of, you know, I'm trying to think what kind of games I would compare it to. But, you know, it's like that, those kind of like Flash games almost. But then at a certain point it seems like it just turned into a visual novel entirely, and that stuff's even worse. Perhaps you're this hero. Now I grant you the power of the spirit of summer. To make it summer now. Climb atop a stump to call forth summer. Right, I assume you're not going to be able to open anything else in here, right? Oh my god, all the blocks are back. This is where I like to take all my first dates. I like to take a nice walk to an ancient temple, get them to unlock a door for me, and then I pick up some boulders to show my worth to them, you know? Show them that I'm a strong, manly man. There's nothing in here, right? This is where we got the rod. Alright, let's go back. Can we actually take her anywhere? I mean, we're kind of done. Let's just go back to the portal. Dead sure. What was this way? The romantic date we had. Our big bear friend's still here. I don't remember if there's anything else we have to do with her. I'm pretty sure that was it. Oh my god. This button. Okay. Oh god. I forgot about those guys. So if we make it summer, we can get through that. So if we make it winter, we can get through that. There was no tree stump nearby, right? Tree stump. Crush these guys. This is where we met our bear friend. Let's keep going. Tree stump! If we make it summer, we can get in up there. I would quite like to see what's in that cave down there first. So let's do that first. Go all the way back down. I bet there's gonna be like nothing in here. Like maybe there's gonna be fairies with healing. Or we're not even gonna be able to get in. Like maybe it needs to be full. No, it was full just before, wasn't it? Can we smash these? Not falling for that again. Oh, his grandpa can smash the snow. That's handy. I don't know why I go back on the bear. The bear's not fitting in here. We got a square jewel. Oh, that's for that temple. We passed the PlayStation symbols on it. We just need a circle, a triangle, a cross. And that's not a joke, that is actually symbols that are on the temple. And to worship the altar. Yeah, we need 3 more gems for it though. But we will get there. I don't think us putting it in now will do anything. We could try. Maybe it like opens piece by piece. This is Capcom being like, we're not gonna be a Nintendo studio for long. We're taking our stuff to PlayStation. So we can do this now. We make summer. And when it's summer, these vines grow that you can climb up. Which is handy. But we're not going to go into temple yet, because there was one thing down here. And at some point this bear's going to be like, I can't go any further, please leave me here. I hate these guys. Okay. This one just says, my secret, read in the summer. Let's see what the secret says. Proto, you're my best customer. Take this special gift, Fasu. There's nothing here. Oh, there's a ring. Okay. Thanks, Fasu. Let's... Oh god. I don't think there's anything else we need to do. I'm worried about going too far and resetting things. This is just like... Yeah, there's nothing else here. Let's go do a temple. And then on the way back, we'll stick the PlayStation gem into the thing. I don't remember what that's for. Like, I don't know if that's a story thing or a side thing. Hey, dungeon time. Poison Moth Slayer. That sounds fun. Of course I instantly equip my shield and then... Oh no, shield's good against these guys. Never mind. I was gonna say, and then I need to use something else, but... Actually, shield's good. Got an owl statue. Good defense is the best offense against these spikes. Yeah, I figured that out already. Thank you, owl. I guess we get the jumping thing here. I do like this game makes it kind of abundantly clear very early on in each dungeon what upgrade you're getting. Because this one is just straight up just like, look at all these gaps. How will you ever get across there? We have nothing that lets us do that. I saw that hand pop up right behind me. Get to... No! I hate those guys. I hate those guys in every Zelda game. Assholes. Like, they don't even hurt you. They're so annoying. They don't even hurt you, they just send you back. All they waste is time. No, God. Alright, I need to stop trying to use the pots as weapons, it's not working out. This is gonna be the longest dungeon yet. I also think they just keep infinitely respawning. think more will spawn. I still can't put these down, right? Oh, I can move them. That's evil. I'm so glad I didn't smash this one. Wait. What? One of these must move, right? Surely one of these must move. However many... Oh. Does this mean I just can't smash the one that I smashed over here? God damn it, let's go back and deal with these goddamn hands again. Oh, they didn't respawn. Alright, this time. This guy can get lost. This one, we actually need. Won't do that. Won't do that. Push it too far. Just get stuck. Oh, these guys. Ah. These weird looking... I guess we probably just go fast, right? I bet there's gonna be a jump at the end of this. Oh no, actually, even worse, it starts from the other side. Well, we tried. Let's keep going. Let's go this way. Small key. That one moves. I don't know if we passed the key door. It's not been upstairs yet though. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, we can go this way at least. Come on. Come on. Bombs. I wonder if we need to use them anywhere. Is there anywhere in that room that looks slightly different from everywhere else in the room? I do appreciate this game is pretty good about just signposting things. Like that last dungeon straight up just had a giant arrow that pointed at the wall you could bomb. Dungeon map! Cool. Oh, just waste a bomb, I guess. Let's put this gun. I guess we should actually look at it. We're doing alright. And now we can move this correctly. Hmm. I feel I messed this up already. Oh, I have messed this up already. Let's go back. What do I need to do? I need to do this. And... yes? This. Wait, what? Oh. Yes. I've done it right. I'm second guessing myself there, like, wait a minute, what did I do? But no, I've done it right. I am a genius. I can solve the puzzles in this kid's game. And solve puzzles that I could solve when I was a child. But wait, no. These guys we didn't even knock into the holes. I don't know if it's in this one. There's a boss, it's like a giant one of those in one of these games. We have a key, so I guess let's use this door. Oh, jeez. That thing's moving fast. Can we just bomb these guys? I saw Oppenheimer last weekend, so I learned that bombs can be the solutions to all my problems. Which I think is the lesson I was meant to take from that movie. I'm not. I might be wrong. Come on. Yay, we got the feather. Good. Let's do this. Now we can jump. And I think eventually we'll get it upgraded to cape so we can like glide. Where are we? We should go down these stairs. Well, I guess we should go see what's over there first. But I think there might be a door. No, it's not. Never mind. There's no door over here. Oh, we can go down here though. One of these dungeons. Oh, there's a chest there. We'll come back for them. And now we have proper Mario 2D sections. Oh, no. I'm gonna say it right now. Jump maybe doesn't feel quite as good as Mario. Also, I'm impatient, so... Come on. Oh... Second guessed myself that time, but I still made it. Okay, there's nothing down. Alright, what have you got for me, Bart? Jumping up and on will send you even higher. Yeah, okay, it's a trampoline, I get it. I get it. Does this thing move? Does the trampoline move? Okay, the trampoline moves. I guess we should see where this takes us first. Oh god. Come on. Compass. That's handy. So I'm gonna move down there so we can get to that room. Easy. I'm very glad that this game holds up. There was definitely part of me that was worried that I was going to start playing this and be like, oh no, it's bad. After all these years. The only thing that I think has aged poorly is this inventory system. Only be able to have 2 items out at a time. Like, it's a limitation of buttons, I get it. It stops it. Limitation of buttons, obviously, you know, the later games would have, you know, the 4-face buttons for the N64 and things like that. And other neat solutions to those problems. But yeah, having to constantly go into the inventory and switch out the 2 weapons you have is a pain in the butt. Wait. Oh, there's a chest over there. Okay. I was like, wait a minute, there's a tiny room with nothing in it. Why is the thing going off? Well, I guess that needs to go over there. If I remember right, Oracle of Ages has kind of versions of this puzzle that are actually difficult, which... Oh... We'll get to those. I fully anticipate that if I stream Oracle of Ages, I'm actually going to get stuck in puzzles. Oh my god, I keep... You have to actually move. Oh, it reset. Oh no. Oh yeah, when you jump on the trampoline, it doesn't maintain any like momentum or anything. You just go straight up, so you have to press a button to move. And I keep forgetting to. You get lost. I don't have a weapon equipped because I only have 2 goddamn slots. Okay. Small key, good. Let's go find some goddamn health. You bats, give me health. Come on. Health. Nope, that's the opposite of what I wanted. Well, we're dead. I guess there's second death? Third death. Maybe third death. But it's fine, because now we can do stuff back here that let us jump not in there. But in... I need my shield out. Every time I need to switch weapons, oh my god. If only there was some kind of like second screen I could use that had my inventory on it. At all times. Yeah, it was a strategic that it's actually faster this way. We save like 5 seconds on the run. But that too, also. That one, less so. I can only excuse it so many times. Oh my god. I'm gonna die again. Alright, let's go. Oh, this is this room. That's just a shortcut back to where I died, more or less. There, Ruby's alright. You, give me health. I mean, I'll take that as well. I don't want to fight any of you because I'm scared I might die. I need health. Why? Why do y'all refuse to give me hearts? Okay, let's just hit these guys. Go, get. You as well. None of these enemies want to drop any hearts. So the boss key room's there. There's a chest down below us. The next room. So below this room. Did we ever go this way? Oh, we can do the running thing. It's back this way, right? Ah. Yeah, this guy's gonna drop the same. Gotten it real close. Starting to get annoyed with the beeping. Oh my god, these guys. I think I'm completely going the wrong way. I thought that running thing was here. But I think I've backtracked too much. Because it definitely wasn't here. Damn it. Alright, let's not backtrack all that way. So there's a chest to our left, but we can't do anything in there from here. I need my shield out. I'm gonna get hit. Well, I didn't. Roll strats. Is there any health in these things? Oh, thank god. Well. So this room has nothing. I mean, it has chest, but it has nothing. This room has that jump we did before that took us back to where we were. There's also a jump in the next room. Which we might not die 4 times trying to get to. You get lost. Please, get lost. This room. Oh my... I don't know what happened there, but my OBS like froze for a second. Right, hold on, I'm gonna... It sometimes fixes this. I'm gonna... do this and turn my capture card off and on. And let's see if that worked. It froze like just as I jumped. And it was fine, but it froze for like a second and I was like, oh no, this is not going to go well. It was fine. Wait, is this the bat room that I died in? This is totally that room I died in. Right? Yeah. This is the room that I died in. Hmm. Can we... Alright, let's go back down that way then. Now that we know that. And we do have a key. If we find a locked door, we can use it. And all the bats stayed dead, which is nice then. Oh jeez. Ah. These guys respawned though. Which does make sense, we've died like twice since the last time we were in this room. I don't know if we need to go this way because we have that shortcut now. Yeah, there's chests in the previous room. But the thing's not going off. Alright, it's up there. Hmm. Interesting. Go back this way. I don't know what we've missed, but for sure we'll figure it out. This is where we died that other time when we were backtracking. So if we go upstairs, we should be able to land on this somewhere. Right? Oh, this is where I was going. I was so close when I was backtracking before. Oh, almost. I think we can make that. Oh, maybe not. Okay, one last try. One last try. Wait, I'm an idiot. I am so stupid. That is not my brightest moment. Alright, boss time. Well, many boss time. Oh god. What? What horse these guys? Maybe I don't actually need to use the thing that I got for these guys. I don't know what hearts don't know. What else do we have? We have boomerang. I don't know if boomerang will do anything. Nah. We have to get them to shoot each other? Oh, the shield. But no. Shield was good against spiky guys, but not against these guys. Okay, let's just try blow them up, I guess. Always a good solution. I'm gonna die, but this is a learning run. I can't like pick them up or something, right? Oh my god, I can! That's great. I'm gonna die, but now we know. You can just yank them out of the water. That's pretty good. Get my shield. Deal with these guys. Could be enough hearts in here to get back to full health. Think. Didn't take damage last time, but we'll see. Come on. I need one more heart. Come on. Okay, it's fine. I'm close enough. I'm not sure where the fastest route back is. Let's go this way. I'm still so annoyed I didn't think of jumping over that button for so long. I distinctly remember doing that as a kid as well. Now that I've done it, I definitely remember as a kid just trying to make that jump by. I think you might even be able to do it. I don't know if that's just something I convinced myself as a kid doing it 100 times, like I could definitely do this. Nope, nope. Where were we going? Back to... Nope. I don't really care about you guys. So please get out of my way. I think there's actually a longer way back than going the other way. Oh, it definitely was. We have to go down here. Okay, bombs are the only thing that hurt those. And pods. Right, so we were right here. Literally, we died in that last room last time we went this way. Let's go up here first. We might as well. What you got to say to this bird? Is it, hey, you can jump over things? Because that seems to be the level of usefulness these birds have been so far. And water is invincible. Yeah, we pick it up, I get it. Figured that on our own. We're adults. Say we, me. I don't want to speak for anyone else. I'm an adult. I'm not proud of it. Right. Give me my grippy croissant. Let's croissant these guys to death. Oh god. Okay, there's a certain amount of time you can hold them. Yep. Get him. Come on. One left. I don't care if you shoot me. I've got so much health left. And you don't. I'll eat those hits. Because I get a fairy. Okay, and there's stairs. That's also useful. Oh, we're here now. Which in the context of the map is here. Which is here. So if we go across to the left, we should be able to drop down and get a chest. Which will have the boss key in it because it's the only one left on the map.
Wait a minute, wait a minute! That wasn't too sweet!
Everything is evil!
How's it going, Chronicle? Oh wait, I actually set up the thing. I can actually do... Watch me, like, spell your username wrong or something. This should work now? Look at that. I actually skived off work a bit and set this up earlier. That's the only thing it does though, I didn't set up any other commands. It seemed like the most pressing one. Since every time someone has raided me, they've been like... trying to do that and it doesn't do anything. Fantasy Star Online 2. I've still never actually played that. Right, let's get his chest. Must be a pushy block here. One of these guys? Yeah. See, I knew it wasn't gonna be this one. Like, this game was obviously gonna make it be the one that I have to jump, because I just got the thing that makes me jump. We got the boss key. And I should have went back the other way. Because now we're going to have to go all the way around again. Thank you. Good evening to you as well. How was Fantasy Star? I was just saying I actually have the shout out thing working now, so I can actually see what you were playing. Oh, fun. Probably the right way. Oh wait, is this the right way? Need to get back up there. Let me go back to the... Oh, we should... The game was actually being very useful taking us back to the start. If I went back one more room, we could teleport it to the mini-boss room. Well, we're this far. This is not Monster Hunter, it's not what the people came for. I don't think I ever promised Monster Hunter. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. This way. Oh, I see. Yeah, it is. Now we're back. Is 60% a smaller ratio than Fantasy Star then? Or is it about the same? But people are not willing to sit and watch Fantasy Star menus. I mean, Monster Hunter menus are an important part of the lore. Oh my god, throw the... No. Alright, we're full health, let's go fight this boss! This is a jumpy boy! Yeah, people do definitely expect that almost on it. That's the game. Oh, that's moth. Alright, we need to get good at jumping. Oh no, this is good. Where this boss? Can we... Nope. Messed up. You can clearly marks where the platforms are on the floor here. Come on, come on. No. God. Damn it. Yeah, where they're just always out of... I don't know, at least for me, whenever I try to catch a moth or get it out of my goddamn room. It's always like, I'm just gonna fly aimlessly around. Moths are like attracted to light until the point where you actually try to do anything to get them to move and they're like, nope. Come on. Alright. We mashed the button enough. We did it. Well, Chronicle, you'll be pleased to know this is also a menu game. But in a different way. Well, bright sun, an essence of nature. Young shoots grow quickly under the warm rays of the bright sun. Thanks for the GG. And then... forever dancing. Alright, now Tree Buddy is gonna tell us where to go next. I feel the bright sun. I dreamt of the waterfall in the mountain north of Sunken City. I mean, I got more of a kind of moth attractor, I guess. The world's biggest moth attractor. Right. I guess we should go back to town and see if there's anything new we can do there. What trading item do we have? I kind of forgot. I mean, yeah, true, it's repelling it from you, right? Oh, we need to give this to... I think we have to give it to the witch lady. The egg. It's like a beauty aid. And we have some rings to get praised. Taking these berries. Let's go see if we can slot that gem in up here. I don't think it matters though. I think we need all of them. Oh, let me do it. Oh, I guess I probably will get... Let's go see if we can get treasure maps. I don't know if we can get all these yet. Oh, here we go. Witch lady time. Come on. I actually want you to knock me over this time. There we go. This is like the one step of this I remember. Use hemp maple, the great witch syrup's apprentice. That's why those long eggs that are all the rage with girls now. Girls just love eggs. It's just what I'm looking for. You're a boy. You don't need it. I'll give you my doll for it. You heard it here first, everyone. Eggs are for girls, dolls are for boys. A ghastly doll. Looking at it gives you chills. Wasn't there someone who was asking for... Someone was asking for a... This is the issue with playing this game over the course of days. There was someone that was asking for a scary doll. It might be back in town. It's true. It's all girls are talking about these days. It's so hot. Even sitting by my prize soothing pill doesn't help. Oh, here we go. She's right here. Something creepy to send chills down my spine. Yeah, take this creepy doll. You can have the ghastly doll. Take this fine iron pot. I'm glad we didn't have to keep the spooky doll for so long. Instead we just got a fucking used pot. I think it's like... Alright. Let's... I don't know where that goes. I'm actually out of ideas now. That was the one step of this I remembered. Get out of my way. Go get the kangaroo. Although we don't actually need them anymore. Right. That's what that does. In here. Bunch of things we can break. This feels like a location that you would hide an item in. So let's waste a bunch of time digging. Last time this went really well. I dug up an entire thing and got nothing from it. Oh, this time we have a place to do this. We're definitely going to forget this is here though. Stop shooting me. Please. I don't know why I'm still digging. We found the thing. I guess money's good. I've been told that. First hand experience, I'm not so sure. It seems like the thing I always need. Let's just walk into this hole because I guess I pressed jump too late. Ricky's gone. I don't know where we can find him. That's the way back. This must be the way forward? Sunken City is far, far to the east. It's far, try to find a ride. Okay. What's up here though? Hey. This is a new enemy type. Stop. Stop that. I'm the greatest swordsman. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Oh, stop that. Oh, this seems good. Power of Darkness won't let you go any further. Alright, I guess this is like the end game thing. Stop doing that. Perfect. I don't think we can get this way without the... Wait. Oh, okay. Our bear friend won't come help us. Let's try to do something stupid. Oh, almost. Oh, hell yeah. I didn't actually think that would work. And also, these guys seem tough. Are these Lionels? Temple of Seasons. Please ignore me while I get health. They didn't listen to me. Let's save and continue this time to finish a dungeon. That's obviously not where we need to go. But I'm kind of tempted to keep trying to poke at it. I don't know if there's maybe an item we can get early or something. I doubt it, but more likely than that we'll just get that thing that'll blast us out like before. Let's give it one more run. Give me the berries. Don't mind me. Don't mind me. Don't mind. Oh, God damn it. Don't mind me. Give me health. Oh God, please give me health, not death, damn it. Damn it. Continue. Here again. Alright, last try, then we'll go back to 10. Although it's entirely possible to find another one of those gems for that temple up there. In which case... Nope. If I get a map from town, it's not really going to make any difference. I would like some health though. You guys got any health for me? Nope, they're just dead. Let's go. Stop it. Oh, I'm gonna probably get it this time. Oh my god. Right, let's just go all the way to the right this time. You can get some health somewhere. Oh. This isn't working out. Go back to town. Can you find more of these berries? Wait, these deaths haven't caused us to grow, have they? No. That'd be too good. So if we use one of these running berry things first, we can get across 3 gaps. Sorry, my phone lit up for some reason. We'll go this way though. Oh, that's where we just were. Health, finally. So... Hey, fairy fountain. Thank God. Although now we have full health and we're right next to where that place was. I wonder if we'll respawn there. If we die. Yeah, let's go south. Let's not risk it again. Oh jeez. Oh jeez. Give me this. Now we've seen this place be winter a bunch. I don't know if making it summer will make any difference. May as well check. It can't hurt to check. See what I mean by this is also a menu game? We're constantly going back into here to switch items. You can only have 2 at a time. Well, that's interesting. Oh yeah, that cat's stuck in that tree still. I think an iron pot's going to help it then. Wait, is this? Son of a bitch. It's not fair. I'm definitely not going to remember we've been in that cave before. And then we need to go back. There's the cuckoo lady that's up there, so she doesn't need the pot. That's just a tree. I mean, it's not just a tree, it's a dungeon, but you know what I mean. Oh shit, there's a cave thing there. Let's go in here. See if this guy charges me for breaking his goddamn door. If you want true power, then slay the 4 golden beasts that roam the land. Then I shall grant my power to you. So far you're slaying 0. I didn't even know these were a thing. Maybe I'll look that up later. I wonder what power rates it gives you. I think this game does straight up just have like strength upgrades at some point. So it could just be that. Can't do that yet. No, wait, can we? Mosh, come to me. Let's go, buddy. No, no, Mosh. Mosh, buddy, come on, it's a bridge. You can do this. Mosh, please. Thanks, Mosh. You tried. You tried. If I go out for is the Sheena pot for something? Duncan City. It's in the east. Go with caution. Yeah. Caution seems to be when you go to the north. Right, what's in the shop? Welcome, sir. Bring me any item you wish to purchase. I don't need enemies. How's Ifrit doing? How's the wee baby Ifrit? Oh, he's sick, right? Oh no, he's got better. Because I paid 150 rubies for his healthcare, because this is a private healthcare system, apparently. Can I pick these up? Oh yeah, I can. That isn't bad. Let's go. It feels so slow when I'm not using the berries. I probably can go without my sword though. We can't do this yet. The world seems so vast. Here in Horn Village, the seasons have all run amok. I wonder if it's the same in other lands. I don't know. That's a good question, actually. Here's some animals the wild are used to people. Maybe you can make friends. Yeah, we did that. Who do I talk to you? I have nothing more for you. We helped you already. And then we broke a hole in your wall, which is fine, apparently. No, we need to go in the ring shop actually. Let's go praise these rings, see if we get the cool. I can't remember what ring we've got on. Praise this one. Blue holy ring, no damage from Zora's fire. That's pretty good. That's what those assholes were shooting me with before. And this one. Rock's ring. Cracked floors don't crumble. That seems like it would be really useful in like specific circumstances. The Zora Fire one though seems like it's just generally useful. Friendship ring's useless. Come on. Come on. Half damage from beams. I don't know what counts as a beam. Let's take this one for now. That lets us, okay, now I know what that actually does because it lets us find places we can plant seeds. I'm unsure about this one. This one seems like it would be useful. I also can't think of a specific instance where it would be useful. I've not fallen into a, like, cracked floor hole anywhere. But part of my brain is like, that seems useful. Yay. Say princess name's Zelda is far away. Yay, we've talked to you before. Not Deku Tree. Do you need an iron pot? Oh, I didn't. I'm not putting the sword back on, just talk to this guy. Not worth it. So we want to go east. And the pirate was looking for a bell, right? They can't use an iron pot as a bell. That's not... Look, I'm gonna try anyway. Cam said, don't come back till you find the bell. Nope. The bell's not like buried in the sand, is it? Like, that might not be part of the trade stuff, that might just be a thing. It's probably part of the trade stuff. It kind of feels different. Like, usually the trade stuff doesn't block you out of some progression. Like, getting into the pirate place. There's no bell here. So what do I know? We can't lift these... Well, I assume we're meant to be coconuts, right? Nah. Right, let's go. What's in here? Is there anything we missed last time? Or couldn't do? We couldn't move these, but I don't think it's important. I can't remember what the Song of Storms guy wanted either. I could just oil it, it would go around. I can't help you with that. Sure, we'll get some oil at some point. And then you complain it's going too fast, because that's how it works in all these games. I do like these just hanging out on that screen, so anytime you go past, you can just hear them. So... we're meant to go east. Let's keep exploring. Because there will be stuff we've not done. This is where the portal was. And we've not been down here. It's kind of cool that if you hover over these it tells you like, oh, there's a cave here. Oh, there's a tree here. Get tea. Get this. I can go up here now, which we could before, just not this easily. We can get in here now. It's that dungeon we're at before. We can't. It needs to be like autumn for these to... I think this is always going to be summer. Yeah. We went on that one already. I think. I'm now second guessing myself. Yeah. You come back here when we can make it fall. Or autumn if you're, you know, like me. That's a pain. We can go that way in winter. It doesn't really matter because it's just going to take us to that house anyway. I don't think that house wanted anything from us. Just making it summer here, get us anything? I don't need you, fairy, sorry. Doesn't seem like it. Probably just go south. And east. I feel like I might be walking past something important. But we're going to have to come back up this way later anyway, so it'll be fine. What I would like is the membership card for the shop so that I can, you know, I assume buy maps. I assume that's we selling out his dodgy backroom. I guess we should move these. We can't change the season spring because we don't have that yet, but what we can do is burn down these trees. Good environmentalist. Oh, it was a bit of a waste, but we got health that we didn't need. Can't make it spring, so there's no point in even trying that. I want to risk this. I want... Give me this. Let's just chug these let's just shove all these berries in our mouth. You didn't drop a ring this time. I'll remember this. Okay, we actually beat her for once, but also we didn't get the thing I wanted. This is the beach. Wait, where do we need to go? We can go back up here. Okay. We need to go north then east. Fuck dudes. Mayor didn't have... Oh, there's a thing. What's inside? A fairy was inside. That's not that useful, but thank you. Mayor's home, fascinated with nuts. Mayor loves those nuts. Let's keep going. Back the way we came. This way. Right? Eyeglass Lake. That sounds close enough. Because there was a sign up here that said where to go, but said it would be a long ride. Which I think was them saying, take your goddamn bear. Ricky's not hanging out at the gym, is he? He said he was training. This is Blana. Sure, Blano. Let's go. Yeah. I beat you before. Nailed it. There, rubies is not really worth it. I'm pretty sure he gives you a ring at some point. But that might be in like the Link game or something like that. Oh my god, stop. Take damage. Can we bring our bear friend? If he shows up to the left. I swear to God. Oh my god. Well, he didn't show up to the left at least. The good thing is we can cheat. Well, I don't know about cheat, but we can do this. Hell yeah. Take that, game. Thought you could stop me. It does also probably mean this isn't the right way. Although I think we could have got down there with the bear before. Oh no, we can't get that way though. Go this way. Oh my god. There's a large castle there. Look at this, we... Oh my god. The Great Moblin's Realm. Yours to get by alive. Pay me my toll. What's your toll? Stop bombing me! Can you try this? Ah, okay, I was hoping I could pick those up. Okay, so we're back here. You keep... I may have paid the toll. See you, mush. The whole city's flooded. Since I can't swim, I just hear blowing bubbles. I mean... Paul's a master diver. He had a secret diving spot, but he never told me where it was. Stingy guy. Not wrong. My husband was a master diver, but now he's old and he's hidden his diving gear and gone off somewhere. That's a shame. Legends say some sort of treasure sleeps on the summit. It's a boy's dream. I think about it so much I can't sleep. Bear, can I go in your chimney? I don't know why I want to. It just looks like I could. That guy seems like he lucked out with his house placement, since it seems to be the only one not flooded. This seems normal. Honestly though, these people should just sell all of their houses and move. Just sell them to Aquaman. These are really, you know, standout things. Alright, we'll come back. There'll be some secret to that. Give me these. Gale seeds. Gus can take a reward. Oh, we've got fast travel. Thank God. Oh. We found our third animal. Found something weird. It's a monster. It came to attack the city. It did. We must protect the city. Stop beating up this poor lizard. Leave him alone. Protect the city. We're protecting the city, but without weapons we're helpless. What if I... Yeah, I've got bombs. Yeah, sure, you guys get out here. I'll definitely bomb this guy. Dimitri. I can even swim at waterfalls. Swims like a fish, even up waterfalls. You can also carry me using the power bracelet. Neat. I like the noise he makes. Dimitri seems like Yoshi, but cool. You can swim up waterfalls, try it. Give me a second. Looks like we've stuff to explore down here, Dimitri. You really wants to go up that waterfall. Can you go up here? Nope. Right, so it's back where we're at. Alright, let's go up a waterfall so you'll shut up about it. You can't go to this house either. It's fine, I mean... Do I have any seats? Nope. I mean, I guess let's just keep going up. No, wait, let's make it winter. Maybe we can get in that house. Free some of this godforsaken water. This godforsaken water. Looking good so far. Looking bad again. Oh, what about the cave? Need to check that. Need to check that. Oh. Well, we tried. Okay, so it looks like the way to the left was a different cave entirely. Rubies. There's a guy here. Oh, it's the diver. Got my people go to the next cave and open all 4 eyes in a single stroke and bring back proof that you have done so. Okay. Sounds easy. Right, wait here, Dimitri. Can he move? Oh, this one can't. I messed up. Easy. The Master's plaque. Do you teach me to dive? I only just got Dimitri. If this game instantly gives me a thing that means I don't need Dimitri, that'd be very funny. Like, at least Moshe took an entire dungeon before I got the ability to jump. That's my master's plaque. You've passed my test. Very well then. I accept you as my pupil. Take these flippers. Yeah, I can swim now. Press A to swim, B to dive. Secret route to Mount Cuckoo. There's a diving hole among the reefs in town. Use the flippers I gave you. Sorry, Dimitri, you're instantly less useful. Well, I guess let's go in this house. Do you need a pot to like get the water out? The mountain snow's melted, suddenly flooding town. I can't even leave the house, it's terrible. Okay, I guess. Bye. It was all for nothing. Dimitri left. Let's make it summer again. I'm glad we don't need to care about water anymore. That was... It's always my least favourite traversal thing in these games. But seeds, anything else interesting? Doesn't seem like it. Let's see. Still don't know what we're meant to do at this house. Maybe someone shows up at some point. Oh, maybe it's about the link things. I can't just keep accusing everything of being a link thing, but oh well. Until I know otherwise. Oh, this is this cave. I can't go up waterfalls, right? But Dimitri is still useful. Yeah, I mean, I think there's only like 5 or 6 different link connection secret things. But I mean, I'll probably write one of these days. And there's gonna be a long enough distance between me saying it and actually finishing Oracle of Ages to be able to test it that no one's gonna remember. And if you do remember, then good for you. Jesus. Oh wait, we can... What am I doing? We got this. Just make a whirlwind or a tornado and get out of here. I guess let's go to this one. But we can swim now, so I don't know if there's anywhere else we want to go first. We can go to the lake. Let's just keep going forward for now. We said it was like in the reefs. Oh, my game just froze for a second there. Don't know if that showed up on stream. Are these the reefs? Oh wait, hold on. Did we go in this house? I don't think we did. Collector vases. That seems a dangerous place for Link to be. That big Goron, no matter how often I ask, he won't give me his vase. I give my dinner for it. Fish. Okay, so next step in the trade, or not next step, but one of the steps in the trading thing. Don't touch my vases. I mean, I won't touch them. I definitely won't touch them. Oh. I thought this would do like the Pegasus boots thing where you slam into the wall. But not to be. Let's keep going. These are just the fish from Mario. These are just straight up just bloopers. There's a blooper, no, blooper for the octopus, right? But we need the fish from that guy to get the cat out of the tree. I don't know what the big Goron wants. I doubt he's interested in a pot. Because why would he be? We've been here. Hey buddy, are you gonna attack us? Most of the Deku Scrubs we've seen before have been pretty chill. Nope, this one's not chill. Okay. No shields, no deflecting seeds allowed. I'm not listening to that sign. That sign can't be me. Can't be for me, because I can't read. I surrender and return now for my advice. Even if you have a key, you still need a keyhole. The keyhole's on the summit. Okay, fair. Do I have a key? I don't know if I got the key. I don't have a key. But I appreciate the advice. Do you have a key? Even if you have a keyhole, you still need a key, moronic brother. The key is in the valley in the west. Alright. I see how that works. I see how that works. Where's my body? See if you show up on the other side of this goddamn snow mush. That's even worse. Damn it. Okay. I guess we can item before we even get it? Or an upgrade to our feathers? We have no bombs either. Weird. Give me bombs. I feel like this is the least progress we've made in one of these streams. Although we did finish a dungeon. Can't believe I'm digging up all the ground and there's no bombs buried under here. I feel like if you dug up this much ground in the UK, you would find bombs. Like leftover ones. Unexploded ones. Oh, finally. Right. And we got 4 of them. Which is great, because I instantly fucked up. This one? Oh! Not what I meant to do. That's fine, there's stairs anyway. Let's go left first. Why? Why not? Well, it seems pointless. What was it? Stop that. I'm out of here. God, Lionel's... Yeah, Goran. This is not the big Goran. So nice of you to come all the way here just to see me. Since you did, I shall make it so you can carry more rings. Yes, please. Thank you, Mr. Goran. 3 rings. Absolutely fantastic. Living low is nice, but it can get lonely. Yeah, that's kinda in the name, buddy. Go this way? There's Gorans. Welcome to Goran Mountain. Too cold to go outside, so I'm all out of shape. Yeah, that's my excuse too. Goran Mountain has always had winter year round, but ever since the Temple of Seasons sank, it's gotten even colder. You can catch cold just by going outside, or just going outside. Big Goran is so big he can't fit in our cave, but it's so cold outside. The poor Goran. That is unfortunate. Maybe destroy all your plants and pots. Let's go downstairs. I was just about to be like, oh, we can't do it in here, but then I remembered we can swim now. Really fantastic. Now, is this going to be somewhere we've been? Yes. Yes? Yes. I think we've been here before. No. Maybe? Oh, this is where all the heart stuff was. Okay. So if I just go one more screen to the right, I would have got here. I was so close. I was so close to accidentally reaching the right place from the wrong side. Do you know of the Goran vase? All collectors want to have it. Yeah, Big Goran's got it, right? The big boy. Big Goran's up above, but he has a cold, so be quiet. Lava, huh? I hate the cold. Fair. Okay, I'm gonna make this jump. We can do this. We did this before. Nope. This time. Nope. This time though. Nope. This one though. That was close. Okay, let's go. Alright. This one. I need to jump. Oh, that one was close. Okay, we're gonna die if we keep doing this. I think we're just about to get the cape anyway, because we clearly need it. It would be cool if I could do it. Hey, buddy. I'm all stuffed up. It's so cold. Do you have anything that can warm my body up? I could set you on fire. I don't think that's gonna help though. I mean, doesn't hurt to try. My guess is we need to fill this pot up with soup. And then give the soup to Big Goran. And then he'll stop being sick. Damn it. Forgot to equip my sword. Hate those guys. Please don't tell me that I destroy your door. Don't tell. Yes, thank you. That's a lot of money. I love it when I break into someone's house and they give me money. Not really sure where to go next. We went in here before. This is where we came from, more or less. We went down that way. We need some way over this. I know those are both the spring jump and floor things, but I wonder if we can get up to that heart piece. Oh wait, we're in the summer, never mind. Heart. My bear friend. There's a spring banana tree up there, but until the rock flowers bloom in spring, I can't climb up to it. Can nothing be done? Nope. Need to wait till spring. By wait till spring, I mean I'm going to jump into this portal, get another seasonal ability, and then... I wonder if her date's going to be angry that we ditched her. I would be. That's not anything. I wonder if there's snow there in the winter. It's worth a try. Look at that, I was right. Like I figured out how this game works. Or have vague memories of playing it a decade plus ago. This is one time we actually kind of needed the fairy. this money. Yes. And into the portal we go. What? They're stealing my feather. Those motherfuckers. They gave me fool's ore. Those two are hurrying home. I wonder if they found some other weird thing. This ore seems useless. It's kind of funny that I can throw it like that. You sons of bitches. This could be a stealth sequence. They like their stealth sequences in this game. Oh my god. Oh my god. How did he not see me? I'm not gonna complain, but I fucked that up and the game let me away with it. Oh my god, oh my god. Oh my god. They could come back. One of these is going to come back. It is solid link. This is the second time we've had one of these sequences. At some point you get a ring that lets you disguise yourself as these guys. I can't remember if there's an actual purpose for it. Like, I think there might be someone that that will only talk to you if you look like them. Right, is one no? Every time I'm like, one of them's going to come back, because that's what happened before. Oh my god. Let's split up, I need to go in the middle. They go hide, they go dig it into that very obvious patch. Let's get my feather back. The game's telling me to return their shit. They gave it to me. I should keep this fake ore. I think they're gone. How am I meant to even give it to them? Where'd they go? Called Pirations have settled down south. There's pirates. These are skeleton pirates? Yes. Hey, you guys look cool. Can't someone find me, Belle? Don't be silly. You ain't an experienced adventurer yet. You haven't at least proven your adventuring skills by seeing the inside of some ruins. I know use for you. I've seen lots of ruins. Captain got a special summon, I can't forget. What's more, she's said to be the queen of some great land. Captain lost the bell he got from a special summon. Ship got caught in a storm and sank. Now we're trapped underground. We'll never get the ship out. Bloke sent something for the bell hasn't come back. I told him he ought to search the ship. Have you seen our ship? It's over by the graveyard. We haven't fixed it yet. It's in terrible shape. Well, I guess we should go explore there. Is he alright? That bloke's so forgetful. How'd that go? Oh, I'm gonna instantly forget this. It was 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3. But this one doesn't do it. Let's just teach me it for later, right? 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. Oh, that's 2. God damn it. So it's 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I don't think we can do anything with it here though. It's going to be to unlock the something later. How long do they plan on staying here? Why are you in here? All these pirates. Guess I'm used to life here now. Where's this going? We're back in the town. This is that one bit that we kept going to. That's actually very useful. We now have a very easily accessible portal down to here. Graveyard. Yep. Yep. It's in the desert, that means... Have you seen ghost versions of the... Alright, let's go back up and talk to the pirate at the beach. Although I guess we actually need to go to the desert, right? Let's see if we can get the Fool's Ore back then. The game told me to give it back. Did it take it off me? Oh no, it did just take it off me. If I give it back, it just means it unequipped it. Okay. The hole goes to the temple. Yeah, I've been this way. Who would want a dirty feather? I did. Oops. Hard ore is said to be the best, yeah, that's good. Smell ore trunks nearby. I know there's treasure around here somewhere and I'm gonna find it. It's right there, buddy. Okay, our showers feel so great. I'm not sure about that. Well, we're not doing this. Even my run and jump trick is not going to get us past that. So we can get it that way again. I guess we can go to temple, but we haven't got anything new. So we definitely need to do the pirate stuff. Oh, god damn it. Something down here. A seed. Oh, just the same, we need something to get into the temple. The game heard me and proved me wrong. Is this fall? It must be fall, because we need to get rid of the mushrooms, right? Oh no, spring. Because that's when the banana blooms. Alright, Spirit Spring. So now our bear friend can get his banana. And we can use them to do something. Get that key. Come on. I do like the music. Let's go this way. I want to try and talk to the... I don't think the pirate that's up there is gonna do anything. I think them saying, hey, we need the front of the ships in the desert is actually the thing that we were meant to get from that. Right. Oh, we get more rings now. Do we have weapons of praise? Nope. But we can equip... I don't know if we can equip more, but we can at least carry more. So there's our fire one, and I guess we won... half damage from beams? The damage from electricity? We have beams for now? I don't know which of these is more useful. Don't really care about that. This one, I don't know. It might be useful. But I think we can only actually equip one at a time. Which I didn't equip this one before. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the beach. Should really burn that other tree down at some point. I do keep just shimmying past it every time. Yeah, you're useless. So we need to go to the desert. We can't just swim in the ocean. But we'll probably need to go to the desert at some point anyway. That didn't seem urgent. What seemed more urgent was making a spring. I don't know if there was anything else we needed to do in spring that we've passed before. There was a heart piece. It was up the way we're going anyway. There was this bit? Where's the tree near here? There's one, 2 screens up. 3 screens up. Don't mind me. Don't mind me. Don't mind me. Don't mind me. Why would I do that? Right. It's spring. The greatest time of year if you're into, I don't know, hay fever. Just love it. Yeah, grippy croissant. Get into a cave that we can't do. Alright, here. This is, let me show you the pro moves. Pro moves here. Oh yeah, pro moves. Pro moves, we got this. It's not even letting me jump. Oh! Come on. Pro moves. God. This time. Not that one. Oh, though, I got so close. This is doable. This has gotta be doable. The issue is you have to jump so late. Okay, I'm gonna die if I keep going. Oh no, I'm gonna die now. Where are we going? Oh god, all the way back here. And the witchy lady's here. I don't need a sword. Come on. I think it's doable. I got so close to those tries. Okay, I got that. I bet this ring isn't even actually useful, but I feel like he had a ring that was useful. Let's see what it is. Praise. Maple's ring! Maple means go up. It's actually not that useful. But here we go, ring. I mean, I'm gonna take that with us. I don't know why we would need summon Maple, but I don't know why we need crumbled floors to... I'm going to keep it though, cause just in case. Right. Let's teleport. Oh damn, we can't teleport up to... Oh, we can teleport to trees we got berries at. That makes sense. I was wondering what was the thing... What was the connecting tissue? Well, we should go... There was a cave somewhere I've instantly forgotten about. Oh, but we couldn't get back from the cave anyway. Right. Because the cave had a waterfall in it. I think I'm remembering that right. We can make a spring here now, but I don't know that that would help anything. Well, I think with a few more tries I could have got that. Nope. So we can get this now. Wait, can we? That's not what I thought. This was a trick. They made it look like I could. But I couldn't. Do this though. Flying cuckoo. Claps when held, otherwise it's dangerous. Yep. Hi? We have to match a button. What do we have to do? Mashing seems to make it go higher. Oh, there we go. Alright. Boomerang would actually probably be pretty useful in here. Nope. I can't even make regular jumps now. Strange. All the way back, really? Right. Let's throw these so that we don't have to do this again. Get banana. Sure smells sweet. Well, it wasn't here. Ah, this seems good and fun. God damn it. Give me the feather. It's so fast. Damn it. Ring. That was Pro moves. Not pro as in good, pro as in my username's Protomia. So every move I do is pro. Please give me health to stop this beeping in my head. Eat your goddamn bananas. Let's never talk about this again. I think there's anything you can do up here. I don't know why I brought you up here. You can't go in caves. I'm so stupid. Oh no, I'm not. Never mind. I thought he could climb up that. I mean, I am still stupid, but not for that. For the many other things. We can go up there now. So we need the key, which is here. Now we can do this. I got the dragon key. Oh my god. Alright, let's go make a spring and then instantly ditch this bear that we just spent minutes getting the thing for. See you later, buddy. Yeah, you hang out there. Up here. Because the keyhole's on the summit, and the key's in the valley. Hey, buddy. The snow, it blocks the something. He doesn't seem to hear you. Well, need to wake that guy up at some point and he'll give me that mushroom. That's the Mario looking guy, right? I need the cuckoo. Cuckoo. Any one of you fuckers to give me health. God damn. Right, we need to make it snowy because the dude that was off his tits on mushrooms and asleep said to make it snowy. I can trust no one more than Mario off his tits on mushrooms. Oh, it blocks the entrance to his cave. I see. And by the time he wakes up, it's gonna be closed again. Damn it. I wonder if there's anything interesting in those two. Probably not, it's probably just like a fake dead end to trick you, right? But who knows? Not me. I never lost control. You're dead. God. Give me health. 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 We have 3 hearts. We finished a dungeon on 3 hearts. Flying cuckoo, flaps and held, otherwise it's dangerous. It's not here. Oh, it's here. Let's mash buttons again. Mash, 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 mash. And now we can open the dungeon. I assume this is a dungeon. You're a waste of time on those. That's our dungeon. And that seems like a good place to call it. Dancing Dragon. Good name for a dungeon. It is so tempting just to keep playing this, but I've been streaming for like 2.5 hours and it's almost midnight. That seems like a good place to end it to me. We never found out what the iron pot does. And I don't know. I don't know the whole trade and quest thing, so it's entirely possible we just like missed someone. Yeah, it is late, isn't it, Jonathan? Oh. Thanks, both times. You've come in just as we're wrapping up, unfortunately. But thank you. Welcome in. I just realized we can do this. Yeah, you got to hear Dalton Castle, that's the important thing. Alright, now I need to go back up so I can save again. Let's... God damn it. Let's go. Yeah, I wasn't sure what to make my subscription notification noise. It wasn't something that I'd really thought about. And so I was like, I don't know, that Dalton Castle thing seems good. It was either that or the one where he does the same thing, like he's talking to the camera when he comes in, but he's sitting talking about how he's going to win the tournament and get all the money and then take it to the farmer market and buy all the gems. Which is one of my favorite wrestling like promo things ever. Dalton Castle is a fucking gem. He is a fantastic wrestler. Alright, let's save again. I do kind of want to know what that ring is now, though. We found this ring in a cave. What if it's useful for the... Alright, one more thing. For real, I'm going to finish this. I'll get back to the dungeon off stream. I want to know where this goddamn... if this ring does anything. Actually, even better. Go back. I'm gonna... We already saved in there. I'm gonna create a suspend point here. Just for backup. And if this ring is fucking useless, then we're just gonna quit it and the save's already here, so it's fine. If the ring's really good, I'll get back up here on my own. You'll trust me. Maple, I already got your ring. I don't know what you could have that would be useful for me to actually want to do this. I'm gonna do it anyway. Potion? That seems very useful. Yep, I keep beating you now. I'm cheating by boosting with these berries. What was that potion? Magic potion. Fill your heart. I guess it's, I can't use it, so I guess it's the equivalent of fairies in this game? With like an extra life? Right, I praise this ring. But annoyingly though, that means I need to... Green Joy Ring. Find double ore chunks. That seems useful. I haven't really had to spend money on anything in the Subrosia, but maybe there's something we can use it for. I kinda want to... Oh wait, I need it. List. I keep saying I'm going to get rid of this ring and then not doing it, because what if it's useful? I swear, if the next thing we do... Which won't be just now. Although I do kind of want to quickly go into Subrosia and see if there's anything instantly that cost lots of chunks that would be the reason they give me this. What? But yeah, I swear if we instantly, like, if the next dungeon has tons of those, like, fall away floors and I didn't take the goddamn ring, I'll be annoyed. There's a graveyard over there. Out with the fast berries. Might stock up some of those off stream. This was the way to something? Oh, this was the weird, what seemed like a hook shot maze. We can't do shit in. This is where we came in the first time, or not the first time, the last time. This is the way back to the temple. I don't think we can get back that way. I guess that's kind of it. We can go on a different portal, but I don't know if that's worth it. Right, I'm going to end the stream here. And I'll do this stuff off stream before the next one. I'll start back at the dungeon. Go back to here. And thank you for joining. Thank you for all the follows as well. Thanks for getting me to affiliate status. Like, well over affiliate status, if you can see here, like 57. Kinda crazy. Yes, and the Dynamote's there. I, as always, do not have an actual schedule other than Monday nights, but I will hopefully get at least another couple of streams this week. If Crash misses more lunchtime things, I might sneak into the spot. If he doesn't mind. If not, I do actually also have a lot of work to do, so I'll try and stream in the evenings at some point. But yes, for now, thank you for joining. I don't think anyone's online because it's the middle of the night. Is anyone online? Nobody's online. So I'm just gonna... If you want me to send people your way, go for it. Jump online. It's that, or I don't have the, I don't know the schedules for everyone to offline raid people. Yeah, if you jump online, I'll raid you. If you finished all your menuing, you're ready for some real PSO2. Oh my god, this... I filled this, nice. I filled this, video thing with just some clips from the stream, but mostly just random clips I had lying around. And one of them is me being terrible at Switch Sports Bowling. Others are me doing like cool combos and Idle Showdown that I never landed in a match, and then stopped playing that game. Wait, hold on. I need this paused. I need the game muted. You will need to hear this one. This may be really loud. I hope it's not.
We must recover all the energy immediately, Mega Man.
But where is Dr. Wily?
That's a good question. We may be able to locate another energy emission from the radar room. When we find that meteor, we'll find Dr. Wily.
I love Mega Man 8. What a game. Alright, Chronicles Online. I'm going to send you all that way by doing this, and oh, I need to... We need to stop Dr. Wowie. It's so good. The whole game is like that, and also the way that Dr. Light's actor says everything is like it was his first read of the script. Like, he stumbles over the name Mega Man. It's the name of the game. Like, come on. If there's one name you have to get right, it's Mega Man. Alright, raid is starting. Thank you again all for joining. Thanks for all the follows. Thanks for all the dynamotes. I will see you all next time.